This is my first video on my channel and I'm going to explain why Gojo destroys Reinhard. We've all seen that TikTok video showing that Gojo is weaker than Reinhard. If you're not a ReZero fanboy, you'll find out that this TikTok video is fake and that Reinhard is a fraud. Now I'm going to start showing you that Reinhard is a fraud.
However, Reinhard is not entirely invincible, and there are moments where his character shows glimpses of vulnerability, even if they are often fleeting or quickly negated by plot devices. One of the few consistent limitations he faces is his reliance on his ideals and sense of duty. Reinhard's strict moral code and unwavering loyalty to the crown sometimes put him in morally complex situations where he must choose between following orders and doing what he feels is right. In these moments, he is forced to act cautiously, negotiate, or delegate responsibility, which exposes that, unlike a purely omnipotent being, his influence is bounded by social and political realities. This reliance on ideals can slow his actions and create tension, but it is rarely enough to put him in true danger, as the story always positions him to succeed in the end. Emotionally, Reinhard's attachments also reveal subtle cracks in his otherwise flawless image. His care for allies, friends, and subordinates can be exploited, and enemies who understand the political and personal dynamics of the ReZero world can theoretically manipulate him. In some arcs, his concern for others forces him to make concessions or temporarily step back from confrontation. However, these emotional vulnerabilities are often treated superficially. The narrative seldom allows them to result in lasting consequences or meaningful failure. In essence, while he has personal weaknesses, they're almost always mitigated by timing, luck, or external interventions that restore his dominance without any real struggle. Another potential source of weakness is his overconfidence. Reinhard is aware of his strength and reputation, and this sometimes leads him to underestimate opponents or overlook details that could complicate his plans. In theory, this could lead to strategic errors, miscalculations, or temporary setbacks. In practice, the story rarely punishes him for overconfidence. Any mistakes he makes are either minor, quickly corrected, or used as a way to highlight his eventual triumph rather than demonstrate genuine vulnerability. This reinforces the impression that his challenges are constructed to be dramatic for others, rather than meaningful for him. Even when facing adversaries who should, logically, test his abilities, Reinhard rarely experiences true difficulty. Situations that might challenge other characters, like overwhelming numbers, environmental hazards, or politically cunning enemies, are often resolved by plot conveniences, divine timing, sudden aid, or conveniently timed interventions. This means that while he has theoretical weaknesses, they almost never translate into meaningful obstacles that threaten his success. His power remains largely absolute in practice, and the story is structured so that any weak moments serve more to emphasize the struggles of other characters than to humanize him. Ultimately, Reinhard's weaknesses exist mainly on paper rather than in execution. His moral dilemmas, emotional vulnerabilities, and occasional overconfidence offer only the illusion of depth because they are quickly overshadowed by narrative mechanics that ensure his victory. They are not weaknesses in the traditional sense. They do not challenge his abilities, force personal growth, or create lasting consequences. As a result, while Reinhard is technically capable of showing cracks, these moments feel superficial, almost performative, and fail to undermine his status as an overwhelmingly dominant figure. In this way, his weaknesses paradoxically reinforce his reputation as a fraud. He is portrayed as a flawed, human character, but the story ensures that no flaw ever truly costs him anything, leaving him both untouchable and narratively overhyped. Gojo Satoru would easily defeat Reinhard, and this is due to several fundamental reasons rooted in their respective universes and the logic of their powers. First, Gojo is portrayed in Jujutsu Kaisen as the strongest sorcerer in his world, possessing near-invincible techniques that make him untouchable for the vast majority of his enemies. His infinity ability creates an invisible barrier between him and any attack, whether physical or magical, preventing any direct contact. Reinhard, despite his superhuman strength and divine miracles in Re-Zero, has no real way to bypass this barrier, as his power is never truly quantified and relies mostly on plot protection to shine. Moreover, Gojo wields massively destructive attacks like Hollow Purple, capable of annihilating anything it touches in an instant. Even if Reinhard tries to resist with his sword or powers, he would be overwhelmed within seconds, as he has no comparable defense and is not designed to withstand absolute destructive force. Gojo is also an extremely intelligent and tactical fighter. He analyzes, anticipates, and manipulates the battlefield to his advantage. Reinhard, on the other hand, relies on brute strength and plot armor. He never needs to develop strategy or understand complex techniques like Gojo's. Finally, the contrast between their universes is crucial. Jujutsu Kaisen operates with strict and logical combat rules, where power has clear limits and can be exploited, while Re-Zero relies on Reinhard's plot armor, making him invincible only when the story demands it. In a real, objective fight, without divine intervention or scripted miracles, Reinhard wouldn't stand a chance against Gojo. Combining invincibility, devastating attacks, tactical intelligence, and total battlefield control, Gojo could neutralize Reinhard before he even reacts, leaving him completely powerless. In short, this fight wouldn't just be a victory for Gojo, it would be an absolute obliteration, clearly showing the overwhelming superiority of his abilities over Reinhard's. Gojo completely annihilates Reinhard. Please subscribe and like.